Well, hello students. I'm making this little recording just to introduce myself to you because I'm sure that you'll like to know just who it is that is teaching you. So I thought you would like to see my face. So here I am. This is me. I am Dr. Nerina Harborne, and I've just got a little PowerPoint, but I'll introduce you to myself and I'll also tell you how I'd like you to interact with me and ask questions as we go on. Okay, so my name is Dr. Nerina Harborne, and you can see it written there if you're not quite sure how to spell it. And I'm a visiting lecturer in the biochemistry department. So I'm from the UK. You can probably tell that I'm not from Uganda. I'm from the UK, but I've been working in Uganda, in Mbarara, for more than 8 years now. So I am somehow just a little bit Ugandan. But right now I am back in my home in the UK because of COVID, because of all the difficulties that that has caused. So I'm in my home, which is near Manchester. So I know that when I say Manchester to my Ugandan friends, this is what they think of: Manchester United football team. So that is one of the local football teams around here, but I'm afraid I don't follow football at all, so I'm not a good person to talk to about how the team is doing. So I said I was a visiting lecturer. That means that I am working at Must, but I'm not actually employed as a lecturer by Must. I'm sponsored by an NGO, a non-government organisation called AIM International. And I came to work at Must in 2012, so that's more than 8 years ago now when I first arrived. I'm a visiting lecturer. My speciality is molecular biology. I'm a molecular biologist, and next semester you will be doing a molecular biology course and learning lots about DNA, about replication, transcription, translation. That's my field of study, my field of expertise. My particular interests are about DNA and histones, the way that DNA is packed up inside a cell nucleus, the way it's arranged and organized so that it can be used. I'm also interested in the interactions between DNA and proteins as genes are regulated, as they're switched on and off, because that is the basis of making making our bodies the way they are. Before I knew that I was coming to Uganda, I did a course in molecular biology of tropical diseases. So I also know something, a little bit about malaria and schistosomiasis and other tropical diseases like that at a molecular level, just how they work at a molecular level. I am married, and usually I am there in Mbarara with my husband, Dr. Derek, who is a medical doctor. He has set up an emergency medicine MED course at Must. So Must is now training emergency medicine physicians. And while I am here in the UK right now, he is back there in Mbarara. So some of you may be able to go and meet him around the emergency department in the hospital. I'm a mother. I've got a family of 4 children who are all grown up and who live here in the UK. That is one of the reasons that I have stayed behind, because my younger daughter, who is a medical doctor, has recently had her second child. So I now have 2 little grandsons as well. So that's one of the reasons that I'm still here in the UK, so I can get to know those little children. Okay, so I think that's enough about me. I just wanted to say a few words about how we're going to manage this teaching. So it's my job to teach you, but that's not a one-way thing. It's your job to learn. So how do you learn, especially in these unusual circumstances of trying to learn from videos and written material? Well, we're going to have to find a way of managing it. It is going to be the new normal. I don't think that COVID is going to go away anytime soon. And there are some advantages in distance learning. So I think that this sort of teaching and this sort of learning will continue to be part of your experience for the rest of your course, I'm afraid. I'm sorry if that's bad news to you. But we've got to learn to cope with the new normal. So my teaching, I'm planning to teach you online. As I said, I'm in the UK and I think it's wonderful that we have the technology that I can actually continue to teach you at this distance. So I will be taking part in some live Zoom meetings, some live Zoom lectures, but my main lectures like this, I am planning to record. So you will be able to listen to them, watch them at any time that you want at your convenience. And you'll also be able to rewatch them if you want to, or rewatch parts of them if you want to, which is an advantage of using a recorded format. If it's something that you don't quite understand the first time, it's quite easy to go back and go over it again. So the links to these recordings of lectures and also to the slides of the PowerPoints I'll be using will be under your courses on LMS. If you've found this video, I hope that you've already found where those links are. I'm going to upload the videos in such a way that you can either download the whole video at once. So perhaps when you're on campus, if you have the Wi-Fi, you're going to be able to download the videos and then go away and actually watch them perhaps in the evening when you don't have Wi-Fi. Or I'll also put them onto YouTube, so you will be able to stream them in the same way that you do any YouTube video. So I hope that that will be convenient for you and that everybody will find a way of watching them. Also, if the lectures are downloaded by one person, it will be quite easy for the files to be then passed to other people. So only one person needs to use the data to do that download. Okay, so that's how I'm going to provide the lectures. How are you going to do your jobs? How are you going to learn? Well, it's best for a person's learning if they actively participate in what they're learning. So you can just sit there and watch this video and fall asleep, but you're not going to learn anything very much by doing that. If you actively take part in your own learning, you will find that it's a lot easier to know and to remember what you're learning. So take notes, just as you would do, I hope, if you were sitting in a lecture theatre. Write down notes of what I'm saying, of things that you're picking up. Write down questions that you'd like to ask, areas that you'd like to explore more. Listen well, listen carefully. An advantage of the recorded format is that you can always go back a little bit and re-listen to a section if you realise that you've missed it. Make sure that you can see and hear well. I know that sometimes people will be sharing computers or devices, but if you're packed in a room with 20 people all trying to watch a video on a small phone screen, you won't be able to see very well. So please try and find some better way of doing it than that. I've said keep time here. That applies to when we are doing live Zoom meetings. There are going to be some live Zoom meetings, and it's a lot easier for the lecturers if the students are there well on time. I know that there can sometimes be difficulties connecting and data can drop and the power can go off and all those things. But if at all possible, please do try to be there on time or even early to solve some of those problems. It's a good idea after you've watched a lecture to go over the notes you've made while they're still fresh make sure that they still make sense to you, that you can read your handwriting, but you know why you wrote what you did write. If you go over those notes, it will help to put the topic into your mind. It will help you to remember what you've been doing, so that when perhaps weeks or months later you come back to revise for an exam, you will still understand the notes that you made. And please do ask about anything that you don't understand. I don't want students to be sitting thinking that they don't understand, they don't know what's going on. I'm going to tell you next about how to ask questions, so please do ask about anything. Okay, and I want to make clear that I can't teach you everything. All I can do is introduce you to the topics, to skim the surface, to help you to know what you need to know. It's then your job to go deeper into those topics, to use textbooks, to use the internet, to ask questions, to understand more about the things we're going to be talking about. In our Zoom meeting where we started the semester, somebody asked the question, how what does an excellent student do? What makes the difference between an average student and an excellent student? And I'd say that this is the answer. The average student learns their lecture notes. They cram the material from the course in the few days before the exam. An excellent student spends the whole of the semester thinking about the topics covered, making sure they understand everything that's being taught, and becomes interested in them and looks into them deeper and finds out more about them. So if you want to be an excellent student, that should be your attitude. And again, do ask questions. I'm delighted if somebody asks me a question. I was reading such and such. How does that fit into what we're learning now? It's great if people are doing that sort of thinking and understanding. So I'm going to be using PowerPoint. This setup, this recording is the way I will be doing the lectures. You can probably tell that I'm actually using Zoom, the same Zoom that we use in our meetings. I'm using it to actually record these lectures, and that seems to work well and give a small enough video file size for downloading. So this is what my slides will look like. This one just has text. Many slides have pictures and text. Sometimes the pictures are just illustrating, sometimes they're adding extra information. I'll make sure that all the important information, especially unfamiliar words, are written down. So if you don't quite catch what I'm saying, you should be able to see them written on the PowerPoint slide. But again, do remember to take notes to help you to learn and to remember. The slides from each lecture I will make available as both PDF soft copies and as a PDF of a handout format that can be printed out if anybody wants to do that. And there will be links to those on the LMS under the Documents tab for the course. Now, questions. If we were live together in a lecture theatre, you would be able to just raise your hand and ask a question. And perhaps in a few months' time, we will be in that situation again. I hope so. So the way I organise my lectures is to put question mark slides at a good point to pause. So when you see a slide like that, that is to remind me to pause and to ask for questions, and it's to give you a chance to ask those questions. The reason I do it this way is because I quite often find that somebody puts their hands up and wants to ask a question, but I'm going to answer anyway on the next slide, and that just wastes time. So question marks are the time for questions, but we're not together in a lecture theatre. So how do you ask questions when you can't put up your hand and ask the question? Well, on the learning management system, on the LMS, there is a forum, and that is the place for you to ask questions. So I hope that this page is now familiar to you. This is actually the course BCH1118, the course that the pharmaceutical science students are following, but for the medicine and pharmacy courses, it's BCH1111. So you go to my desktop, choose the correct course number, and it brings you to a page like this. So then choose the document link to find the links to the videos and handouts, or this is the forum link to ask questions. So if you click on forums, this is what you see. And here is a place for general questions on the course. If you have any sort of general questions on how the course is run or what it covers or anything, you can ask them in there. And then I've set up a section for cell biology, part of the course here, and then a topic for lecture 1, Introduction to Cell Biology. So for the other courses, it might be for proteins or enzymes or whatever. So Introduction to Cell Biology. So if you then click on that link, it takes you into that topic. So you can see here there are no topics under that section at the moment. So to create a topic, click on New Topic, and that takes you to a page like this. So you can enter a subject and then write your question in this section. So that's what I've done next. I've made a subject of asking questions, and my question is, how can I ask a question on the LMS forum? Okay, so you can play with different font sizes and types of font and bold and all that sort of thing if you want to, but just using the default gives a perfectly acceptable text to read. Then click on the OK button, and then that takes you to this page. So you can now see your question with your name, date and time you ask the question. Here is your question and the little message that your topic has been recorded. Okay, so now we're on the forum in a question. So it would be great if students can answer each other's questions. So please, if you see somebody else asking a question that you are sure of the answer to, answer it, start a discussion. That's great, that helps with your learning. 2 ways of replying to the question. There is a button here, reply, and a button here, quote. So if you use the reply button, it takes you again to a box where you can type what you want. Notice this time there isn't a subject because it goes under the same subject that you're replying to. So the answer I've typed is you can ask a question by posting to the forum. You can reply to questions using the reply button. Then press OK. And you can see that here under the same subject, the question is now answered. Okay. If instead of using the reply button, you use the quote button, the box you see now actually quotes the question you're answering, and you can type here underneath it to give the answer. And sometimes that's a much easier way to keep a discussion organized, because sometimes there can be a discussion and it branches off in different directions. And if it's just in a straight line, it's hard to know exactly what's being referred to. But by using the quote, you can make it clear just which point that somebody else has made that you're replying to. If you don't want to reply to the whole of what they've written, you can delete some of the text from here. If you just wanted to reply to one part of it, you can alter the quote part and make it clear exactly what you're replying to. So again, click OK, and that will mean that your question has been posted to the forum. And I will keep a close eye on those forums and make sure that I answer any questions that are asked as quickly as I can, hopefully at least within 24 hours or so. Okay, so that's how to ask a question on the forum. And that's really all that I wanted to say in this introductory video. So I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in the next lecture.